Oh yes, rumors. Big, tasty, juicy rumors, leaks, and speculation. Ah, I love them so much. Mwah! And this one is a very tasty morsel because it deals with what a lot of people would consider, myself included, the biggest issue with the Xbox right now, and that is we just don't know what the future of the exclusive games lineups look like. But because of this leak, we may have a better idea. Now, I'm going to have a big disclaimer about all this stuff. It's a rumor. Take it with a grain of salt, speculation. It may or may not be true. But in case you want to remain surprised, in case it is true, I would click away from the video. Because who knows, this all could be true or it all could be false. But, I know some people don't like spoilers. So if you want to be surprised, if you don't want to know about anything that is potentially on the horizon, then I would recommend you click away now. But for the rest of you that kind of want to get a peek behind the curtain at what maybe Microsoft is cooking up for next year, the year after, the year after that, then stay tuned because we're going to talk about this massive Xbox One games leak. What is going on, guys? Randall Thor 19, the man with the million, back again with another video. It's been a busy couple days. We just talked earlier today about Microsoft discontinuing the Xbox Kinect adapter. So if you don't have one of those, good luck. They're going for like $300 on eBay. But this video is about the Xbox games lineup. There was a big leak today on the Reset Era forum, which is basically the new NeoGAF. And the reason I'm doing this video is because the person leaking the info has been right in the past, and we're going to talk about all this stuff. So I'm giving you one last warning. If you don't want to get spoiled, if you want to remain pure and get surprised at a future E3, click away. But for those of you still here, let's take a look at what this person is basically saying. Now, he goes by the username Cloberil on Reset Era, and this is what he has to say. He somehow has access to a backdoor entrance into Microsoft's API network or whatever. I'm not really into the knowledge of any of that stuff, but he's been right before, right? And let's look at what he's been right before. So last year, in 2016, he posted this stuff. E3 teaser trailer coming online later today. He talked about how Rare's working on new Battletoads, and that's like the only thing he got wrong. He said Sea of Thieves won't be a straight MMO, but more like Division and Destiny. Microsoft gives this game a huge focus, cross-play, cross-buy, which turned out to be true. Forza Horizon 3 set in Australia. General Ram Killer Instinct. Something Age of Empires, which didn't show up at E3, but was at Gamescom. Halo Wars 2 beta, which happened. Zombie Online game on Microsoft, which ended up being State of Decay. Anniversary update will get its own landing page on Xbox.com with major features. So he got all this stuff because there was like a trailer on the website that he could access, and he watched it. And here's a bunch of other things that he was able to get, some game IDs. So the guy's been right before, which is why a lot of people are giving him some credence about what he's posting. So when we go back to look at what he's saying, he said he logged back in and he saw some new mentions of some new games. And this is going to make either a lot of people upset or a lot of people angry, depending on what you are expecting. He goes, I would love to revisit Albion. Project name could be Wisdom. A UK studio should do it. Now, there's been leaks for quite some time now that, Fable's being made by a new studio. The question is, what studio is doing it? For a long time, people thought it was Studio Gobo, since they're doing an exclusive game for Microsoft, and they're also a UK studio. However, there is Playground Games, the makers of Forza Horizon series. There's a leak on Reset Era by a user saying that they are working on Fable. Either way, whether it's by Studio Gobo or whether it's by Playground Games, it sounds like if you want to revisit Albion and get that action RPG goodness, Fable 4 or some sort of Fable will be coming in the future. I have no doubt about this. I always kind of felt Fable would come back, and them shutting down Lionhead and closing Fable Legends was always a weird decision to me, just because of how big the Fable franchise was at one point. When people talked about Xbox, during the 360 era, and even the beginning of the Xbox One era was, Halo, Gears, Forza, Fable. Halo, Gears, Fable, Forza. It was the big four. It wasn't necessarily the big three. But I fully expect them to redo Fable. Maybe they use the assets from Fable Legends. Maybe they don't. But I always thought it would come back. Now, the other game that they mentioned here, which is a little bit surprised, is he says, I would love to play around with Mrs. Dark again. The Coalition should definitely help if it's a third-person game. I mean, not them alone, obviously. Now, he's obviously insinuating Perfect Dark is coming back and that the Coalition is helping in some sort of way, similar to how they helped bring PUBG to Xbox. I think they helped with the aiming or something. But we all know Coalition's probably knee-deep working on the next Gears of War. You know, Microsoft not taking advantage of Perfect Dark and adding that to their arsenal of exclusives after Perfect Dark Zero was always seen as a big miss for me. Because Microsoft, they liked staggering their exclusives year over year. It was Halo, Gears, and a Halo and Gears. I always thought it would have been better if, you know, you somehow reintroduced Joanna Dark, had this kind of stealthy shooter game with some multiplayer, and that way you could add that to your arsenal. So you'd have Halo one year, Perfect Dark another year, Gears the next, and then so forth and so on. It would give the other teams a lot more time to work on their specific games, and you would have an extra IP that you could bank on. So it's kind of interesting that he talks about that. Is Perfect Dark coming back? I don't know. We'll have a prediction video coming up pretty soon about what I think coming in 2018. This one's just going to be about what, you know, this guy says in this post. Next on, he goes on to say he would love to play Crackdown 3 and 4-player co-op. Not really a surprise. They announced this back at E3. 4-player co-op through the multiplayer mode, I believe. I'm not sure if the single-player mode you can play in co-op, which I think, now that I'm thinking about it, I think you can play the single-player in 4-player co-op, and the multiplayer is more like 10v10, or maybe it's 5v5. I'm not exactly sure. We don't know much about Crackdown 3, to be quite honest with you, but I do know that Crackdown 3 did feature, or was featuring, a 4-player co-op mode, so this wasn't so much a surprise. I'm just kind of curious when Microsoft is going to give us the next morsel of information about Crackdown 3, since they delayed it, you know, last year, a couple months before it was supposed to come out. And I'm not sure it's going to be soon, but we'll talk about that in another video. Next, he goes on to say, I would love playing Forza with the rising sun on the horizon. Now, this kind of was hinted at, maybe leaked a month ago, that the next Forza Horizon, dubbed Forza Horizon 4, would take place in Japan. There's not that really many other places they could go. The first game was in Colorado. The second game was in Europe. Third game was in Australia. A lot of people have been asking, you know, to go to Japan or maybe go to Brazil. And it sounds like, at least according to this guy, that Forza Horizon 4 is going to go to Japan. I think that's pretty cool. I'm always interested in seeing what Playground does with Forza Horizon, because I consider them the creme de la creme when it comes to racing developers. Forza Horizon 3 is the best racing game ever made, and Forza Horizon is getting up there as one of the greatest racing franchises of all time. So, Forza Horizon in Japan? Yeah, that sounds good to me. He also talks about how he'd love to play Age of Empires 4 soon, but it's probably super early. I think that's the case as well. I don't think you'll be seeing that game for quite some time, but it is being worked on. Now, the bigger thing people are wondering with this game is it going to remain PC exclusive, Windows 10 exclusive, or it will be on Xbox. We know keyboard and mouse support is coming. I'm just kind of wondering if Microsoft will make that game an Xbox One game as well, but I have my doubts about that. He goes on to say, I would love to have a really high player count, connections per second, for Xbox's biggest franchise. Now, he's obviously talking about Halo in this sentence here. But a lot of people are saying, hey, you know, a really high player count, connections per session, maybe it's a PUBG mode. I know what this industry loves to do more than anything else is copy proven winning formulas. And what is the biggest multiplayer game going right now in all of gaming? And that is PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds. PUBG, 30 million sold, or 30 million players. They just announced a couple weeks ago. Sold 1 million on Xbox in basically 2 days. It's above 26 million on PC. Who knows what it's at right now on Xbox and in total. Obviously, people love the game. Fortnite, which basically copied the formula, went free to play, is also one of the biggest games going. So the Battle Royale survival genre is booming. And of course, you damn well know, publishers out there have their eye. They want some of that money for themselves. So it won't be very long until we start seeing the AAA, counterparts. A PUBG-like game or mode for a Ubisoft game, or an EA game, an Activision game, a Microsoft game. Is Halo 6 going to feature some sort of last Spartan standing mode? 100 Spartans on, an area of, like a Halo, basically. Fight to the death. It'd be an interesting twist on it, but I'm not sure that's exactly in the cards for that. I think they're maybe going a different way. Maybe a bigger, more expansive Warzone, the mode from Halo 5, which featured the rec packs. Maybe they're going for something along Battlefield lines where it's like, 24 on 24 or maybe 40 on 40 or something like that. I just can't see, as much as I would maybe enjoy last Spartan standing mode in Halo 6, 100 Spartans, whether solo in the duos or in a squad. When you have all the weapons there, you can make a big map, you have vehicles and stuff like that. I'm just not sure about that, but pretty interesting nonetheless. Now, here's another thing he goes on to say. He's like, and I think Phil likes mechs. Now, Phil's talked about Mech Assault or MechWarrior, I forget which one, so he said he would love to see them come back. So maybe it is. Maybe MechWarrior or Mech Assault is finally coming back. Would be interesting to see. I would be, it actually kind of, I've talked about this before. I could see them making some sort of games as a service model for a MechWarrior game or a Mech Assault game. You could buy mech packs or mech boxes where you get parts for your mech inside. It kind of, I'm sure you guys are probably, even though sighing at disappointment, because I think in your minds you realize that would probably be where it's go. You can kind of kit out your mech with all the different cosmetic stuff, but also with, a Gatling gun for an arm or a laser gun for an arm and a whole different bunch of attachments for legs, arms, torso, tops. I mean, there's a lot of things you could do with mechs and a lot of different parts and cosmetic things you can put in those boxes. I'm envisioning it now, which maybe that's the reason why something like that could be produced. Only time will tell indeed. He goes, I'm sure they have things I have no fucking clue about what they mean, because he's just leading like lines of code on the website. He said he didn't get to see anything, or didn't see anything for Conquer, Banjo, or Crimson Skies in there. He says, make of that what you want. I don't know what is just a prototype. I would definitely love to see things happening, though. Now, he also goes on later to say he saw 2 Halo ID titles in there, so maybe there's 2 Halo games. But sometimes things happen. Maybe games are tested, prototyped, and then kind of canned. I mean, we know the Halo Mega Bloks game was a reality at one point. So who knows how many prototypes are in the database, people are beta testing these things, and maybe the game gets canceled for whatever reason. Now, I'm kind of curious to see what you guys think. Fable 4, Perfect Dark coming back, Crackdown 3 4-player co-op, Forza Horizon 4, MechWarrior or Mech Assault coming back, PUBG mode for Halo. Does this excite you? Is this what you want to know? And when do you think, if true, because obviously, hypothetically, we'll go with the scenario that this is all true, when do you think this stuff will be announced? This year at E3, next year at E3, who knows, right? But I'm curious to see what you guys think. Does this list give you, fill you with a sense of reassurance that Microsoft is going to bring the exclusive games in the future after we finish off with Sea of Thieves and Crackdown and State of Decay in the early part of the year, that, all these other games are coming essentially 2018 or 2019, maybe early 2020. It's a big leak, and I wanted to cover it because, as you guys know, I cover Xbox news, and this is a big, big kind of story. Obviously, take it with a grain of salt. I am, certainly, because I can't imagine everything on this list being true, because, and you know what? And I wanted to bring this up really quickly. Why is it always Microsoft that gets all their stuff leaked? This guy basically leaked their E3 a day or two before it actually happened by some backdoor access he has to their website or developer program tools. And yet, at the beginning of January, here we go. We have one YouTuber, Dreamcast guy, saying the next Xbox is coming in 2019. And then literally 2 days later, we have some guy on the new NeoGAF Reset era basically laying out future projects that Microsoft might be announcing in the future. It's like, why does this happen to Microsoft, but you don't really see that happen to Sony as much, or even Nintendo, but it's always Microsoft. It's always some dude on the forum has all this information. You know, it played out in NeoGAF a long time ago with a guy by the name NK Turnal or Seaboat, who had all this information, which all turned out to be correct. But leaks, Microsoft's got to fight them somehow. I don't know how this always ends up happening, but either way, those are what this guys say. These are the leaks of potential future Xbox games. So take that as what, take it as what you will. Let me know what you think about it in the comments. As always, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button to show your support for the channel. I'm always trying new things, trying to make better videos, incorporating more actual video footage into the stuff now that I have a better PC. But it's a growing process. I'm trying to learn as I go. So if you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button. Share this out on Twitter and social media, as I would appreciate that quite a bit. Hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel, or if you just haven't already. Make sure you hit the notification bell so you're always notified when I do drop new videos, as YouTube is very stingy on sending out notifications lately. So hit that button so you're always notified. Thank you guys so much for checking out the video. I really do appreciate it. And I'll see everybody in the next video. Later, guys.